Friends, today's episode will not teach you how to say one more brilliant thing. We're going to practice the exact opposite, how to gently take one sentence back. Because Lao Tzu is about to tell us something strange. The more we talk, the poorer we become. But first, as always, let's welcome back last week's question. We asked, if you set down everything the mind is holding, every title, every calendar line, every to-do, and every grievance, the one who remains, standing empty-handed, who is that? Amy, you carried it for a week. How was your inner weather?
This week was sunny with scattered showers, and the showers all landed on my mouth. Let me explain. The two practices I actually did. The 30 seconds at the bus stop without my phone, the 3 breaths before sleep. But the question itself, for most of the week, I couldn't get anywhere. Every time I tried, I just jammed. The turn came Thursday evening, standing in the checkout line. No phone, just standing there. And the question floated up on its own. The empty-handed one. Who is that? Still no answer. But Leo, I suddenly laughed, right there in the line, because I noticed, the one standing there, unable to answer, and yet hearing the question with perfect clarity, isn't that exactly the one? The answer never came, but the question went quiet by itself.
Thank you, Amy. The answer never came, but the question went quiet. That is the most honest shape this kind of inquiry ever takes. My weather was strong wind turning still. My practice found me in a meeting room. On Wednesday, someone presented the part of the work I'm responsible for and got it wrong. And that wind of, I must correct this right now, rose in one gust. The words were already at my throat. And right in that half second, last week's empty came back to me. I swallowed the sentence. I listened first. 2 minutes later, another colleague corrected the record on their own, and it landed 10 times better than if I had said it. Walking out of that room, I finally saw it. Of all the things I rushed to say, a full half are not needed by the situation. They are needed by me.
Not needed by the situation, needed by me. Let me just hold that one for 3 seconds.
And that half second of empty carries us straight to the terminus of this chapter. Friends, do you remember the road? In part 1, the line where Mother Nature seems unkind, we met the love that plays no favorites, and we found the fallen expectation hiding underneath our grievances. In part 2, the wind box, we met the mind's own bellows. Only the empty can breathe out wind. But a bellows needs a handle. Where is it? How do we pump it? In the final line of the chapter, Lao Tzu hands it over, the most concrete piece of practice instruction in the entire Tao Te Ching. Hello and welcome back, friends, to the Road to Awakening. I'm Leo, and today we walk the last line of Chapter 5 of the Tao Te Ching. Amy, would you read it for us?
Gladly. Countless words, better to hold your middle.
Thank you, Amy. 7 words in English, 8 characters in the original. Let's unpack 2 of them first. In the original, the line says that many words exhaust themselves again and again. The word is poor, and it means far more than money. It means a road walked to its dead end, breath spent, a heart run completely dry. And then comes the remedy, the 4 gentlest words in the chapter. Better to hold your middle. Rather than spending your strength on speaking, gather the heart back and hold it at the center.
Leo, then I have to file a protest on everyone's behalf first. We were raised on use your words, communicate, speak up. Now, Lao Tzu says many words make you poor. Is talking wrong? Wouldn't staying silent make everything worse?
A necessary protest. So let's draw the boundary first. Lao Tzu is not asking us to go mute. Words that warm a person, words that make a matter clear, words that must be said. Spend them, gladly, every one. He is pointing at 3 other kinds of words. Think back over a day. How much of what we said was one of these? Words rushing to prove, I'm right. Words relaying somebody's business to somebody else. And the inner monologue, that commentator who starts at dawn and doesn't stop at midnight. These 3 share one signature. After they're spoken, the matter is no clearer, but the heart is more tired. The proverb says loose talk costs us. Lao Tzu saw deeper. What it costs isn't only discretion, it's vital breath. There's an old Taoist training verse that carries this into the body. The mouth opens, the spirit's breath scatters. The tongue moves, right and wrong is born. Have you ever had the experience? You argue with someone a whole evening, sitting perfectly still the entire time, and the next day you're as wrecked as if you'd run a marathon?
Yes! And the most maddening part, even when I won, it didn't feel good. Just hollow. Like the argument had shouted something out of me.
What got shouted out is exactly that spirit breath. Friends, this is the first layer of countless words. Words are paid for. Every sentence spent on outward combat is a withdrawal from life's own account. And our generation's many words long ago outgrew the mouth. The comment section battles, the group chats that punish a slow reply, the messages that cannot wait, and at night, in bed, the inner monologue refighting the day's argument 3 full times, each rerun with sharper lines.
Refighting it 3 times, and my script improves with every retake. It's embarrassing how true that is.
So let's put that urge on the table and take it apart. The urge called, I have to say it now. Recall the last time you were misunderstood. Heart rate climbing, face going warm, thumbs already hovering over the keyboard, and a pressure rising in the chest. If I don't set this straight this instant, it'll be too late. But look at it calmly. Was it really urgent? Almost never. The matter itself could wait. It was the impulse that dressed itself up as an emergency. And its real name was never clarification. Its real name is, I cannot bear to be seen this way. The moment you call it by its true name, its volume drops by half.
But Leo, here's where I have to ask the question everyone's thinking. Swallowing the words back down, isn't that suppression? The psychology books warn us. Bottle things up long enough and they make you sick.
An essential question, and the boundary must be drawn in ink. Swallowing it while the chest keeps burning, replaying, seething, rehearsing, that is suppression. Suppression locks the sentence in a basement, and it comes up to knock at midnight. What we practice is something else entirely. We watch the impulse itself, watch it rise, press at the throat, crest, and recede. Like standing on the shore watching a wave. And after the wave has passed, then you decide, does this sentence still need saying? If yes, say it. What comes out then is clear, not scalding. If no, it has already dissolved on its own. Friends, suppression is wrestling with your words. Release is letting them flow past. The difference was never in the mouth. It's whether inside there was that one glance of seeing.
Suppression locks it in a basement. Release lets it flow past. Boundary noted. But there's a case that's even harder. Hearing that someone has been talking about you behind your back. Or being the person both sides of a family vent to. Saying nothing in those moments, it feels like you'll burst.
For exactly that case, folk wisdom left us an antidote. There's an old saying about the wise daughter-in-law. She keeps both households in the dark. Her own mother complains to her about her in-laws. Her in-laws complain to her about her mother. And she keeps both and relays neither. Not because she's two-faced, because she knows what words are. Every relay adds a spoonful of oil and a dash of vinegar. She lets the words end at her, and both homes stay standing. Most of us run the opposite service. We broadcast verbatim with commentary attached, and a spark crosses the field as a wildfire. So the practice here is concrete. Before you pass anything along, one question. Will these words make things clearer or muddier? Clearer? Say them. Muddier? Let them stop right here with you. Don't be the courier for right and wrong.
Don't be the courier. I'm fairly sure I signed for several packages just last week and paid for express delivery on the way out. But Leo, that reminds me of a counterexample, something that proves this old wisdom from before I knew any of it. Years ago, two colleagues of mine had a falling out, months of Cold War, and both of them, separately, kept coming to me to unload about the other. I didn't know any doctrine back then. I just found the words ugly, so I passed nothing on, in either direction. Somehow, eventually, they reconciled on their own. And one day, the two of them came to me together to say thank you. They said, if you had relayed even half of it, we could never have found our way back.
Amy, that story is precious because it shows the other face of not speaking. Not speaking is not doing nothing. Through all those months, you were quietly keeping a road home open for two people. Where words stop, blessing gathers. We've all signed for those packages. Having seen it once, we can refuse the next delivery. And there's a marvelous loop hiding here. Confucius, in the Analects, made the strangest confession of his life. Do I possess knowledge? No, I do not. When a simple man asks me a question, my mind at first is completely empty. I only knock at the two ends of his question until everything in it has been laid bare. Do you hear it? Precisely because his mind stood completely empty, unstuffed with ready opinions, he could hear the question itself. It's last week's teacup wearing Confucian robes. The person of few words isn't slow. He has kept his whole bandwidth for listening. The person who holds no fixed views isn't ignorant. He has left wisdom an empty seat.
Let me pause us here for one breath.
If you have ever tasted it, that strange hollowness after winning an argument, then today's episode might be a turn in your road. We'd love for you to subscribe to our channel, Voice of Heavenly Tao, and share the road to awakening with one friend who's currently trapped in a comment war or being chased through their week by group chats. Hand them this hour of quiet. All right, let's continue.
Because now we've arrived. The final 4 words of the chapter. Hold your middle. Leo, is this middle the middle ground? As in, don't be extreme, stay diplomatic, keep everyone happy?
That is the single most common misreading, so let's ask it to step aside first. The middle is not a social strategy. It is not fence-sitting, not lukewarm agreeableness. The doctrine of the mean opens its very first page by fixing the coordinates. Before joy, anger, sorrow, and delight have arisen, that is called the middle. The middle is the great root of all under heaven. Chew on that definition slowly. It does not say emotions are forbidden to arise. It says, before they arise, there is a state, clean, unleaning, perfectly poised. Before the thought stirs, before the mood moves, before the words leave your mouth, there is a place where you are seated, calm and whole, in your own house. That place is the middle. When the sage King Yao handed the throne to Shun, the entire transmission was 4 characters. Hold fast the middle. When Shun passed it on to you, he expanded it to 16, and the Book of Documents kept them. The human mind is restless and precarious. The mind of the way is subtle and faint. Be refined, be single, hold fast the middle. The human mind pitches and rolls with every scene it meets. That is why it's called precarious. The way mind is utterly quiet, hidden in the deepest room. That is why it's called faint. And the practice lives in the closing words, with refined sincerity, with single focus. Recognize it and hold it. Friends, the heart method that the whole lineage of sages passed hand to hand, what was actually passed down all those centuries, is this one, middle. Taoist and Confucian, two roads, one home.
The home base before anything arises, so hold your middle doesn't mean holding on to some position. It means holding the place where positions haven't formed yet.
Exactly. Amy, that sentence could stand as the commentary. And now you see why the word hold is chosen so precisely. Not figure out the middle, not build one. Hold, because it is already there. You only need to come back and stay. The psychologist Jung, who studied the Eastern practices deeply in his later years, saw the very same thing from the other shore. He said the modern person's sickness is psychic energy projected outward all day long, onto other people's opinions, onto wins and losses, until the personality is scattered across 100 locations. And the healing, he said, is to call the projections home, to gather the energy back to the center of the psyche. Listen to the two prescriptions side by side. The East says, hold your middle. He says, return to the center. 25 centuries apart, the same medicine.
Leo, the unarisen middle, still sounds a little abstract. Is there a way to let everyone touch it? Right now, in this minute?
There is, in this very second. Friends, I want you to pay attention to the next sentence I'm about to say. Right now, before that next sentence has been spoken, what is in your mind? Did you feel it? A quiet kind of waiting. Not impatient, not blank. Perfectly clear. A place where there are no words yet, and yet everything can be heard. That is the taste of before it has arisen. We speak thousands of sentences a day, and every single one of them passes through that place on its way out, and we have never once turned around to look at it. Holding the middle is just this, turning around to look, and then staying a while. And in the lineage of inner cultivation, this middle holds one more layer, the deepest one. It is not only a state of mind, it is an actual gate. The elders teach, the middle is the body's own center, the gateway that opens toward heaven. To hold the middle is to guard that gate, the holy gate, gathering the spirit that scatters outward all day back inside it. And Jesus pointed at this gate too. In the Gospel of Matthew, enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is narrow and the road is small that leads to life, and few are those who find it. Look at the two roads. The road to ruin is wide, eyes outward, mouth outward, mind outward, broad, loud, and crowded. Everyone is on it. The road to life is narrow, narrow to the width of a single turning inward. You have to quiet the whole person, gather everything back before your hand so much as finds the frame of that door. And why do so few find it? Not because the gate is hidden, because few are willing to turn around. This narrow gate charges no admission. It accepts one currency only, turning back. And if one day your conditions ripen and an enlightened teacher points this gate open for you, you will look back at this line, better to hold your middle, and realize it was a map drawn to scale the whole time.
Now I finally see why the chapter had to end on these words. The seems unkind, the wind box, Those were all heaven and earth's business, out there. Hold your middle is the first moment in the chapter where Lao Tzu turns his finger around and points it directly at us.
And how much power actually lives in this holding? Let me share with reverence an old account from our own tradition. In the early years, the community of the Way faced an enormous trial. The authorities of that era had misunderstood it and prepared a sweeping crackdown. The account says 10,000 handcuffs had been made, ready to arrest 10,000 people. Now imagine us standing in that moment. What would we do? Call press conferences? Publish statements? Go door to door explaining ourselves?
At the very least, say something? 10,000 handcuffs, Leo.
And yet the mother teacher said nothing. She filed no appeal. She staged no protest. She spoke not one word in her own defense. She withdrew, and in the temple, she bowed. One bow at a time, 10,000 bows. Every time I recall this account, I refuse to flatten it into the word miracle, because the point was never spectacle. The point is this: facing a wave that could crush anyone, she did not hand her heart over to fear, and she did not hand her strength over to words. She gathered her entire life back to that middle and received the wave with vows and humility, one bow at a time. And that calamity, the account says, dissolved, invisibly, gradually, completely. Friends, countless words, better to hold your middle. She performed those words with 10,000 bows, so the rest of us could see what they looked like when they're alive.
I've gone quiet. So holding the middle was never retreat. It's placing your strength where strength actually lives.
And that strength is nobody's monopoly. Most of us will never face 10,000 handcuffs, but we will face a scalding email, a meeting where we're wronged in front of everyone, a midnight in a hospital corridor. In those hours, the road of countless words stands wide open. Go argue, go explain, go pour the anxiety into every ear that will hold still. But now you know there is another road. Return to the middle first. Settle for even 1 minute. And then speak. Then act. Friends, a decision made from stillness and a decision made from panic, those lead to two different lives.
A decision made from stillness and a decision made from panic lead to two different lives. I want that as my phone wallpaper.
Yes, because many words scatter the heart's strength outward, and holding the middle walks it home to the source. The Quran gives the faithful one sentence for the moment the world shakes, and it echoes this homecoming across the whole distance between the traditions. Indeed, we belong to God, and indeed, to Him we shall return. When the great wave hits, before contending with it, first, return to the source. At this one gate, friends, the sages of all the great teachings are standing together, holding hands.
Leo, walking to the end of this chapter, I noticed something strange and lovely. This entire episode kept saying, "Speak less," and the more we said it, the brighter my chest feels.
Because every inch that empties out gets filled with light. Friends, before we set the homework, let's do one last thing together. 3 seconds of complete silence. Nothing to say, nothing to think. There. In those 3 seconds, not one word anywhere. And did you disappear? No. The one who remained, awake, bright, needing no words at all, that is the middle Lao Tzu asks us to hold. That is your true master. Countless words spends its strength. Hold your middle invites it home to take its seat. The words stopped. It didn't. It never needed words in the first place. So, the homework for this chapter. 2 steps, both small. Step 1. 1 minute at the middle. Pick one fixed moment in the day, before you leave the house or right before sleep. Stand still or sit still. Say nothing, think nothing. Draw your attention gently, softly back inside and rest it in the quietest place in you for 60 seconds. Thoughts will come. Watch them drift past like weather. Don't chase them, don't shoo them. Step 2. Refuse one delivery. This week, whenever a complaint, a rumor, or a piece of gossip arrives at your door, practice letting it end with you. Relay it to no third person. And when you catch yourself burning to fire back a defense, count 3 silently and ask one question. Will these words make things clearer or muddier? Speak only what clears. That's the whole assignment. 1 step that holds, 1 step that declines. They look tiny, but friends, every minute held is 1 more minute your quiet master sits at the head of the table. Every delivery refused is a deposit of spirit saved. 1 week from now, your bellows will tell you the result.
1 step that holds, 1 that declines. I'm starting tomorrow, with the 60 seconds before I walk out the door.
And before we go, the question to carry. This week, it may come and find you in the middle of your 1 minute. When you are saying nothing and thinking nothing, are you still there? The one who is still there, who is that?
By the end of that question, even the question itself went quiet. This week, we'll all be carrying it.
Next chapter. Lao Tzu walks straight through the gate we've been circling all month. Chapter 6 opens with one of the most astonishing images in the whole book, an empty valley in which something lives that never dies, a mysterious mother gate from which heaven and earth themselves are born. An empty valley, housing the deathless? We'll find out together, next chapter. And now that we've walked this whole chapter, from the love that plays no favorites, through the bellows to the middle, come tell us in the comments about your inner weather across these weeks, where the fog rolled in, where it thundered, and which moment the clouds finally cracked open. If this episode helped you even a little, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel, Voice of Heavenly Tao, and pass this quiet along to someone who needs it. Your support is what keeps the 2 of us walking. Having learned this far, if there is any error or any clumsiness in how I've shared it, I humbly ask the wise ones and all the awakened ones before us for their compassion and their correction. Thank you, friends. We'll meet again next time.
Gratitude for the grace of heaven and virtue of teachers. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.